Hey guys, Benjamin Duvenak here. Welcome to Wolf Warriors Morning Motivation Meditation. And today I'm talking about how to bash fear in the face. So, what does that mean to bash fear in the face? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. So, everybody has had fears in their life, right? I came from a ton of fear. So, my biggest fear was exposing my heart. Okay, and I would challenge. And what's amazing about this is that it came out in many different ways. Okay, what's amazing about fear is that it will manifest in so many different ways. Okay, if you let it. And so the biggest challenge though is fear ultimately comes from unmet expectations. Okay, unmet expectations, unmet desires, really. At the base of all that is unmet desires. So you have a desire, we put it up in expectation, and ultimately that leads to unrealized expectations, right? So expectations are bad in general, but they're bad when you tie an outcome to it that ultimately puts the focus on the external, okay? Puts the focus on the external to supply that fulfillment, okay? So when we have a desire, we have an expectation, and then it's put on the external for fulfillment, we are left with disappointment, anger, resentment, pain, suffering, hurt, okay, all those things, okay? Does that make sense? It's really powerful if you can, okay, so with that said, fear is essentially it's in all of us. So essentially, what you want to do. So that for me, the biggest thing with fear was that it was the fear of intimacy, right? But here's the deal: most of us weren't told, and you're not taught. What is the intimacy that I'm desiring? What is it that my desires actually are? You know, in the Bible it says, seek him first and he will give you the desires of your heart. Seek God with all your heart and he'll give you the desires of your heart, right? So, but what is that? A lot of us don't really understand what that even means. So what's really important is that you first understand what those desires are. And that's why I love the glass. There's a book called The 7 Desires of Every Heart. And in the Christian Life Blueprint, we teach that. We teach these 7 desires because how do you hit a target that you don't, like, if you don't know what you're ultimately looking to fulfill, like you don't really have an idea or knowledge or wisdom of what those desires you're looking to fulfill, how will you know when you fulfilled them? Because your expectations are going to be based on what it is that you are ultimately looking to have fulfilled. So if you don't understand what the foundation is of those desires, what those desires actually are of every heart, of every person, and God who's created you to be, God's desires for your heart, ultimately wanting to fulfill these things, it's going to be very difficult to understand and to realize when you actually have them sometimes or when you don't have them. And specifically, when it comes down to when you don't have them, how to communicate them, how to communicate your needs, your wants. Does that make sense? Specifically, your needs. And ultimately, explaining your emotions. Can you see how that comes from that? Not understanding that. So fear, unmet expectations, unmet desires. Foundation of that is desires. So there's a book called The 7 Desires of Every Heart. If you want more insight into that, I would highly suggest getting that book. But we teach that in the Christian Life Blueprint training system. I don't even like calling it a system. I like a process. Christian Life Blueprint training process, because this whole thing is a process. But ultimately, you're going to have everything that you need to get to ultimate fulfillment and ultimate satisfaction in the Lord, but ultimate in a practical and applicable way. Okay, so that's what's really cool about this training system or training process, is that we help you to define this thing. So we do multiple things here. We're giving you the key support, key education, and key process. But at the end of the day, this is just one facet, one piece of it that I wanted to share with you because it's so important, and it's at the essence of your fear. And I would argue it, and I'm pretty darn confident for everyone, it is the fear of intimacy. So if you want to kick fear, bash fear in the face, okay? You want to kick fear in the face, doesn't mean you don't have it. It means you know how to deal with it. So what am I asking you to do? Or what am I sharing with you to do? What am I encouraging you to do as part of this morning motivation meditation? Well, I'm encouraging you to, if you're doing some of these right things and you're going to church groups, home groups, men's groups, women's groups, whatever it is that you're doing, share your heart. Share your heart. Share, and I mean practically share your heart. Okay? We do that in the Christian Life Blueprint. We do that in Wolf Warriors, in our groups, in our one-on-ones. We intentionally do that. It's exactly what we're doing. That's essentially all that we do, because it's the great focus. It's the great focus to getting to the heart, right? It's the main focus. We do it in practice. We come at it from practical standpoints, okay? So we're actually going to get takeaways, action steps, and we're going to move forward. Can you see how this is going to help you to move exponentially faster? Well, hopefully you do by now. You understand how passionate I am, but also you understand how this works, okay? So this is what we talk about, why we talk about getting God's best for your life, career, and your relationships, because this is what it takes. How often, though, do we not get that, okay? You're not often getting that. It's not regular. It's not consistent. It's not, there's just really no accountability around it. It's just as you will, as you desire. And I mean, ultimately, not even so much as you desire, but as you will, you put forth the effort, okay? And these are sometimes the most, often you'll find the most profound experiences that you'll have is when you decide to bring forth your just intimate, what's going on, ultimately sharing yourself. So hopefully that makes sense. And so we delve to do that, to overcome fear and to get healing and breakthrough, to accelerate that process. We specifically do this in Wolf Warriors. And so, but if you're not in Wolf Warriors and, I get it. You haven't heard about us, you don't know it, whatever it is, all I'm saying is that I encourage you that when you are in your group settings, that you're going to church, okay? If you're going to church groups specifically, share your heart. Share your heart to overcome the fear, okay? To get through it, okay? To work through it. Share yourself. This is an art. I wouldn't even say it's an art. It's a habit. It's a habit that if you do it and you come, but it requires a sense of peace and a sense of centeredness with the truth. Okay, that's why this whole process is so important that we have it, because it's so important to get to the spirit and the truth. Okay, your truth. So often we're lying to ourselves, right? We're lying to ourselves, putting on this image. So can you imagine if you're just having these 1-time or 2-time off experiences every few weeks, going to these groups, and you're just sharing yourself once or twice, maybe just a little tidbit. I can relate to that, John. I had this experience and blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Well, we just keep moving on from there, don't we, often? So that's the biggest challenge. But if you really want to get over, if you want to bash fear in the face, you got to just share, and do it consistently and consistently. Share it with God, share it with people, share it with God, share it with people, share it with God, share it with people, share it with God, share it with people. I keep saying it because the deal is that's what it takes. That's what ultimate intimacy comes from. Okay? Share it with your friends, your family, those people that you trust, and then you got to so what's cool about this process is that we help you define, who are those safe places, where are those safe places, coming to this space and doing it here and getting immersed in an environment where people do that all the time for the sake of healing and breakthrough, for the sake of ultimate truth, for the sake of fulfillment, for the sake of joy, for the sake of the gospel, okay? That's what pretty much it's all about, is the gospel. I mean, Jesus set us free so that we could then in turn, co-heir with him and and live out that Great Commission. So I hope this was just really a beneficial tidbit this morning around fear and how to bash it in the face, because you can do it 100%. You have everything that it takes. You don't need I got one client, she's into psychics. If she's watching this, holler at you. But and stuff like that. And there's no judgment. But the reality is that you have what it takes. And I want to encourage you that you do. Take the steps and be consistent. And you will find breakthrough and healing faster than you ever thought possible in your life, your career, and your relationships. Take care, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.